Well, good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Home Theater United. I'm Sam Poston, and today we are joined once again by the number one champion, most invited guest, Todd Erwin. Todd, how are you today?
I'm doing good, Sam. The holidays are fast approaching and looking forward to it. It's brisk 28 degrees outside, I think, here where I'm at.
Oh man, it was 35 yesterday, and I had invited a bunch of people to go watch Bald Eagle, and the cold showed up, and the Eagles did not. So it's weird. It was 70 degrees earlier in the week. One of the guys that was with me was saying, I was just playing ultimate frisbee or something like that the day before in shorts, and then today we're all bundled up and I'm not a hat and gloves kind of guy. I will go out in shorts most time, but man, it was just cutting through. It's the weather is so weird these days, man. I don't get it. So
Yeah, I was gone. I had to leave town for a couple days, and it was like high of 50 degrees, and the leaves were
uh,
still on the trees. I come back 4 days later, and all of the leaves have fallen all at once at
well,
both of my properties. So, well, I guess I will be go. And then it's like 20 degrees out. I'm like, I'm not going out breaking
yeah,
leaves.
that's what
I'll
you get
I'll,
kids
I'll
for,
wait
right? Yeah, you
a
find a
little warmer
neighbor's
day.
kid or something. Yeah. Well, this is going to be our holiday pre-holiday show, and as you know, Black Friday is a high holiday for Brian, who is still on his sabbatical. So I'm glad that we've got you here today because I know that you, like Brian, track all of the upcoming deals and ongoing deals for Black Friday. Before we jump to that, though, I want to talk about a couple things quickly, if that's all right.
Oh, sure, no problem.
So first of all, for those few listeners who listen to Home Theater United that aren't Home Theater Forum regulars, I want to say a huge welcome to the new ownership at Home Theater Forum. We have a couple outgoing owners and a couple new incoming owners, and the stalwart Ron Epstein is sticking around to help through the transition and maybe even longer. So, congratulations to all of them, and best of luck, best wishes to the outgoing guys, and thank you for all of their support. I know that they're going to stick around and still be members of the forum, so I'm excited for that. And one of the things that the new owners have impressed on us is that they really wanted to ramp up the hardware reviews. The Home Theater Forum software reviewers are absolutely fantastic, and I will tell you that while I'm one of them, I'm certainly not even in the top five of them, whether by output or quality. Those guys just are machines at watching movies and putting out interesting thoughts on them. So as a reviewer, it's a challenge to keep up with both their output and their quality. So I'm super excited to see that come more to the hardware side, and I've already got a couple leads on new hardware reviews. The folks at SVS are going to send out some of their latest kit. They've been very good to me in particular, and to Home Theater Forum in general, and we're super glad to see them continue that relationship. And we get a couple sneak surprises in there, so I'm really excited to see what's coming about, and a company that I wasn't particularly familiar with, but I think could be a really interesting partner with Home Theater Forum. Could as far as a advertising support could be pretty interesting. So sneak peek and fingers crossed on that. Have you seen any of the threads with the new owners, Todd?
I've seen a few. They seem like really nice guys. It's good that Ron is kind of still sticking around, kind of as the interim CEO, or
Yep.
no, well, not maybe not CEO, interim executive.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Uh,
don't know how the structure works, but I know that they're all working together. And
yeah,
I think
to
Ron's
try to.
actually got more responsibilities now, at least on wrangling the software reviews now. So I wish him luck with that.
Yeah, he hasn't handled that in I think in a long time,
Yep.
so he's
Yeah, and
doing his best.
yeah, for sure. And dealing with those companies is a challenge for anybody, because they deal with third party, advertising companies and fulfillment companies and stuff like that. So staying on top of that's got to be an interesting and tough job. So best wishes to them.
Oh, most definitely, because I think some of the studios they don't always use the same public relations
Yeah,
firms,
that's exactly what I was talking about. The public, and they can change, and people change over, and you built relationships with them.
and they change on a title by title basis
Yep.
sometimes.
Yeah, and I deal with a lot of folks, out in the reviewer space, and I know sometimes for them they can feel like it's a personal slight if they don't get a particular, review copy, or if they're not in the first wave of it. And I know that's got to be hard when when your income relies on you getting those titles. So, but the
Well,
reality. Go ahead.
I've been there, done that. I mean, I've
Yeah.
seen where I've like I'll write back and say, hey, wasn't I? Weren't you going to send me this
Mm,
movie? And they're like, well, we only had
mm,
X number of copies, but we'll make sure you don't get cut next time we're
uh,
short.
yeah, and
Sometimes
again,
they announce it and they take requests
yeah,
from reviewers, but then they don't get any copies from the studio, so they don't have
yeah,
any to send out. So,
yeah,
and I think readers need to understand that if you
yep,
don't see a review for a particular title, especially, and this happens more on catalog titles than anything
yep,
else, um, you need to understand and not get upset
mhm,
if you can't find a review of a particular movie, especially if you're
yeah,
not. I'm not just talking about home theater forum.
sure,
If you just Google it and go, movie, name of the movie UHD review or whatever, and nothing comes up except announcements,
yep.
it's probably because the studio decided they just weren't going to send out review copies.
Yeah, it's an investment, right? And the whole disc industry these days is kind of turned upside down. So,
Yeah. Well,
um,
I've got a funny story though.
go for it.
That Do you remember the movie Holmes and Watson?
Yes.
It,
Oh,
it was famous for the number of walkouts,
oh, people in the theater walked out of it.
people who walked out of the movie.
Okay.
Okay, so and it was a Sony title, and they had solicited to me, and I'm like, not interested.
Really, you
Because I
turned
knew
them
it was,
down?
I didn't want the pain of having to
Sure.
sit through.
And I think a lot of people
And
don't realize that from Home Theater Forum either, is like none of us are setting out to trash anything. But if we get sent something that we don't like, we're very honest about that. So it
right,
so it's on you if you know you're gonna hate something to maybe say, let's let somebody else take a look at that.
right. And they came back 3 times begging me to review it, and I finally just told them, I can't review it.
Yeah.
I
That's
just you don't want me to review it. Yeah, I told them, I just said to them, I was one of the people who walked out.
okay. Did you actually walk out of the theater on
No,
that?
no, but
No.
I had read so many
Yeah.
horrible things,
Have you
and I
ever
had so and it was that particular week. I think I had way too many movies that were supposed to streak that week anyway, and I was like,
Sure.
I've got better things to.
Have you ever walked out of something in the theater?
Um, I've never walked out of a movie because bad. I walked
Mhm.
out of a movie because
Oh, okay. Yeah, the sound or video was off, something like that?
the most infamous one I remember is I went to go see David Lynch's Wild at Heart,
Mm,
and the title came up on the screen and it said "I'lled it here," and I'm out of here.
mm, okay.
It was they were showing it in an auditorium that had a fixed 2-to-1 screen.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
they crop everything at particular auditorium. I didn't pay to see "I'lled it here." I paid to see Wild at Heart.
Right, right, right. I have never walked out of a theater, but tell me if this is worse. I have fallen asleep in a number of movies. Not all of them because they were bad, but just because they were, slow and stuff like that. In particular, I'm thinking of Rambo 3. Was that the one where he was in Afghanistan?
I don't remember.
I fell asleep through that with all the explosions and everything. It just was not my day. But
I,
I've never
I
walked
felt
out.
you were. I don't think you were there. No, were you? Yeah, you were there. For the Home Theater Forum Hollywood meet when
Yep.
Fox sprang
I know
Patton
where
on
you're
us.
going. I know where you're going, and I think the answer
I
is
fell
yes.
asleep watching Patton because we had
Oh.
just come from Disney
Oh, okay.
watching Wreck-It Ralph,
Okay.
and no one was expecting them to show us a movie,
Ri
and then they show us Patton, which is
It's like 2 and a
three
half hours,
hours.
3 hours.
I think some people walked out and went shopping at the Fox
Oh,
Studios.
oh, no. No, I think I watched that because I hadn't seen it before,
And
and I wanna say
I
that those studios take really good care of us but some of their choices, like the Resident Evil
Oh
cartoon
no,
movie.
no. The one I remember most was Scouts Apocalypse, Scout's Guide to the
I
Apocalypse.
like
You were
that.
not there. You were not there for that because
Yeah, it
that
was.
was at the last. No, that was the very last Home Theater Forum Hollywood meet, and I know that
Really?
because my wife went to that one,
Oh, how did
and
I miss that?
it was on the Paramount lot, and the director came out beforehand and introduced the movie and talked a little bit about it,
Yeah.
and then the movie started and it played and it ended, and everybody kind of just got up from looked around.
Oh no.
And I can't remember. I don't know. I remember. Can't remember the guy's name. It was like, did the director leave?
Oh no. No, I have
And
seen the
because no
movie,
one wanted to talk about it
but I
if the
can't believe I
director was
missed
still in the
a
room.
meet. Hmm.
No, everybody really
So,
was like,
so
what was that?
I did fall asleep during the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but again, that was just because we were go 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 that week, and not that I thought that the movie was super bad. But I did finally watch that one at home and liked it. I think more than most people did.
Yeah, but in the past, Paramount's been was really good during those
They
meets
were
because we
amazing
got
to us.
advanced screenings
Yes.
of. We got to see Jack Reacher 2 months before it opened.
Oh my God, yeah, and I thought that that movie would never make it to the actual audiences because of the opening. I thought that somebody would get gun shy about that and just think better of it, but no, they released it and nobody ever made a big stink about it.
No, and it had a horrible trailer too.
I don't remember that. All I remember is just the sniper at the beginning thinking there's no way with, the gun violence in America that this will make it to audiences, and it did, and sure enough, it was I thought that was a great series, and I hear that the new one's very good too.
The Amazon series is very
Yeah,
good,
yeah, yeah.
and I think season 2 is coming soon.
Okay, well, I'll have to catch up to that. I looked at my list of streams to catch up on Todd, and I'm at 20 now, so I'm
Oh,
way behind. I know we're going to talk about streaming services and boxes and stuff in a little bit, but I might have to add that to the list, but it's going to be down there at the bottom. So the other thing I want to talk about is CES is coming up, and I was once again hoping to make it this year. And I'm expecting big news on new panels. I'm expecting price drops and more things to be 8K, despite that not making any sense 4 years later. But somebody made me an offer on a cruise in December, and so I'm gonna do that and go veg out in the Atlantic, and rather than going to CES. But I will be there in spirit, and we'll certainly talk about it on Home Theater United and on the forums. Have you ever been to a
hopefully,
CES?
once, many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun.
Yep.
I remember. Yeah, I think I was taking pictures. I took pictures for Home Theater Forum there,
Oh, I kind of
and
remember that.
I remember going into one booth, and it was a back when cell phones still had headphone jacks.
Okay.
They had an old fashioned like a rotary phone handset
Yeah.
that had a headphone jack on that you could plug into your smartphone or your cell phone,
Okay.
and hold it like you were talking on an old fashioned phone. And I took pictures of it, and they were like, "Oh, we don't allow pictures on our booth. You must delete
What?
them." Like that?
Oh man. It's like you do you want to sell things or not? Right.
Yeah.
So I've been to CES once, and it was circa 1989, and so this was before there was an E3 Expo, entertainment, the electronics gaming expo, and so I was working on a video game in college, and we tried to sell this video game to distributors for 3 days at the show, and it was exhausting. And at the end of the show, this was in Chicago. At the end of the show, everybody's exhausted, going home, trying to just get the hell out of there, and Chicago gets snowed in. And so we're sitting there at the bar for 4 hours. People are getting stinking drunk just before going home on the flight. And they finally get us loaded in. And the air, not stewardess, whatever they call them these days, are running down trying to get everybody, in line to get out of there. And she turns to this one businessman and says, "Sir, you're going to have to put your bag underneath your seat so that we can take off." He goes, "I don't want to be on top of it when the bomb goes off." And so, needless to say, the next 6, 8 hours were not a lot of fun for us, but I can't imagine how bad a day he had. So.
Yeah.
This was long,
My
long
my
before.
trip my trip was 2009 or
Mm,
2010,
this was long
and
before all the
I got
the.
to meet Leo Laporte.
Oh, neat, 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 neat. Yeah, this trip was
He w
long before 911, so you can imagine what it would have been like today had somebody said that. So,
Oh, I was traveling. I was on a plane the day of the shoe bomber.
oh no, yeah,
And so this was before you had to take your shoes off.
yeah. I was gonna say you
We're
were the last
leaving.
guy.
So yeah, so we get on the plane for, and it's a connecting flight in Salt Lake.
Hmm.
And so our flight out of, I think it was no problem. And at the time, Long Beach's security was so loud, it was a joke.
Sure, yeah.
So much so that my wife was able to get through one time with, she grabbed my backpack when I did not know that I had left some razor blades in there.
Hmm.
So she gets to Oakland. I know I'm going off on here.
No, no,
She
it's
gets to
cool.
She goes off to Oakland. So she flies into Oakland, visits her friends and whatever, and goes back to the Oakland airport to come home. And they want to confiscate the backpack because when they X-rayed it, they found razor blades inside. And to this day, she will not let me in for that.
Oh no, yeah, it's a
But it
different
was a
world
stupid
today.
mistake. I mean, I didn't. She just grabbed it, and I didn't realize that I had put razor blades in there because
Sure.
I was doing home theater installs on the side at the time because I was out of work. But anyway, so the day of the shoe bomber, we leave Long Beach and we get into Salt Lake City, and we're like, something weird is going on because there's like heightened security in the airport. And they actually made us go through security again, which you never do on a connecting flight unless you leave the airport for something. We're like, why are we having to go through security again? They made us take off our shoes. And of course, all the TVs were turned off in the airport. And we get into Portland, Oregon, and we watched the news that night. And oh, yeah, some idiot tried to blow up a plane with a bomb with,
Yeah.
C4 in his sneakers.
Different world,
That was
man.
a weird day.
I
That was
can
a weird.
imagine. So, I think we're ready to talk about our main subject, and you are definitely a bigger expert on this than I am. So I'm going to let you take the lead on it. Why don't you jump right in and tell us what you're tracking and what you're thinking?
Well, Black Friday's coming up
Mm-hmm.
this Friday,
Yep.
and a lot of the deals are already live. But what's different this year with Black Friday is that a lot of the stores are going to be closed Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, there was a lot of negative feedback from people that they didn't want to see, low wage workers be caught having to go in work on Thanksgiving, right?
That's been the complaint for many, many years. Having worked retail on Black Friday myself, full timers though, working on Thanksgiving Day actually make pretty good money comparatively to any other day. At least in my situation, because I would get 8 hours of holiday pay because it was a holiday. I would get time and a half for the hours that I worked, and then typically I worked 10 to 12 hour shift anyway. So it was time and a half and then 2 to 4 hours of double time. And I was like, this is great.
That sounds like a pretty
Uh,
good deal if that's your
yeah.
gig, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's twofold. I think, there is that, you let the people, spend time with their families. Why are
Mhm.
you making them blah, blah.
Yep.
But the other thing is just the work shortage. If you've been in any retail store this
Oh.
last year or so, a lot of retailers are struggling. Retailers and fast food restaurants are
Yeah.
struggling to
Yeah.
to hire people.
And they've actually even
And
increased wages, right? Cuz
oh,
I know.
oh, I mean, I've seen signs outside Del Taco
Mhm.
offering starting wages of $21 an hour if you're willing
Wow.
to work the swing shift.
Wow.
Because they're open 24 hours and they're
Yeah.
right off $21 an hour at a fast food joint.
Yeah.
I see warehouse workers. I mean, I drive through the warehouse corridor where Walmart, where all the distribution centers are for like Walmart
Mhm.
and PetSmart, Chewy, you name it. And they've got signs up saying starting wages $18 an hour plus signing bonus.
Wow.
So that I think has a lot to do also with them not being open on big day.
Yeah, I know like 6 months ago there was a lot of people saying, "Oh, people just don't wanna work." But I think that I mean, we're literally, we've got pretty low unemployment numbers, and the people who are working. So I don't know if there's a way out of that for retail and fast food and stuff like that. That's going to be a tough row for a long time.
Yeah.
But
So I
I
mean,
think overall
even the supermarket chains are not going to be open on Thanksgiving
yeah,
Day, which usually they're open a couple hours
yeah,
to help out the people who forgot to
yeah,
get butter,
yeah, and
know.
we're the olives and
And
cranberries.
unfortunately, uh, for all you people who are cooking Thanksgiving dinner, do an inventory check Wednesday
This
night
sounds smart. Yeah,
because
sure.
chances are your local supermarket is not going to be.
Yeah,
I know most of the Albertsons, Safeway stores have said, our stores are not going to be open. So
gotcha. I know I'm bad about that. I know I have made Thanksgiving runs on probably 3 out of the last 10 Thanksgiving, so I'll have to make sure I get my stuff early.
I mean, I've been to the store 3 times last couple of days just to make sure, just to stock up because I live out in the middle of nowhere and our Safeway doesn't have good inventory. So they may not even have, heavy whipping cream
Right.
available on Wednesday. So
Well, what do you think is going to happen Friday? Because my experience has been that Black Friday is a season, not a date anymore. And I think it starts right now at Halloween. I mean, I've seen Black Friday
usually
since
the
then.
week of Halloween is kind of starts to kick in.
Hmm.
It really kicks into high gear probably today, which is Monday the 21st is the day we're recording this show.
Right.
Because I know Walmart's Black Friday deals went live to the public today. Now they'd been available to Walmart Plus members prior to that.
Hmm.
Like Walmart is opening at 5 a.m. Best Buy is opening their doors at 5 a.m. Target is opening at 7 a.m. Costco at 9 a.m. This is all on Friday.
Right.
A lot of their deals will go online, will go live online. They'll still go on live online on Thanksgiving Day. Some at
Hmm.
midnight, some at 1 a.m. Target's deals went live yesterday.
Hmm.
Costco's deals will go live at 12 at midnight on Thanksgiving Day.
Okay, so into
Best Buy's
Friday.
at 1 a.m.
Yeah. And you don't think
Uh,
there'll be doorbusters, huh? You think
I have
that's a.
not. I've looked at all the ads, and I have not seen any doorbusters that are advertised as doorbusters.
I see.
Now, I know Target and Walmart are doing PS5s,
Yeah, that's where I was
and
going
the
to go
little
with that.
asterisk saying check your store for time and for times and
Hmm.
details. So they're probably doing those as doorbusters. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
They're probably going to get one or two per store.
I don't know. I think the crunch is really over on that. I know on the Xboxes they've had the S's in store for a long time, and they're saying that they think they've got a pretty good amount of stock
Oh,
for
I'm pretty sure they do because I've seen those in all the ads.
yeah. So
The S series with the God of War bundle.
no, yeah, I'm saying that I think all three of them, the S, the X, and the PS5. I think you'll if you're really looking for one this year, you'll be able to find one. So good luck to our members and friends who are looking for those.
Yeah.
So what about new devices? You see that there's some deals on streaming devices and stuff like that.
Well, we got a couple interesting surprises this fall.
Yeah.
I'll start off with the least surprising, but still a surprise. Is Amazon came out with the new Echo Dot, the fifth
Right.
generation, and this is not the hockey puck one. This is the globe.
Okay, that's like covered with
Uh,
fabric.
yeah, it kind of looks like it looks like someone inflated the old. Oh my word! I have them all over my house too, and my mind has gone blank. The Google
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
speaker.
Yep. Yep.
They look like somebody took one of those and inflated them.
I always thought they looked like a dead scrubbing bubbles from.
Well,
From
no, the so the Google Home Mini. That's the
yeah,
name,
there you go.
or the
Yeah.
old. That was the old name. They
Yep.
changed it. They call it something else.
Sure.
It looked like a flattened Echo Dot.
Mm-hmm.
But the Echo Dot, the fifth generation, or the 2022 version, it now includes an Eero Wi-Fi extender.
Oh, okay. So you
Built.
can make a mesh
So
out of
if you
them.
have, you have to already have an Eero mesh network in your home,
Mm-hmm.
but it will work with the Eero routers that you have in your home and give you an extra 1,000-foot range and up to 100 megabits per second.
Well, let me ask you this. I do have an Eero prior to them being or right around the time that they got bought out by Google. Um,
Amazon.
Amazon, sorry. Can you turn the Alexa stuff off of that and just use it as a $25 Wi-Fi extender?
Um, I have not played with them. Probably you can. You could probably mute them.
Mm,
Because I know you can mute the Google Home.
sure.
I don't. My sister has Echoes all over her home. I have Home and Home Mini, Google Home and Home Minis.
I am
Um,
I am not a I wouldn't even call it a conspiracy theorist, but I'm not one of the people that's super worried about all the different things picking up voices and recording it. But I have stuck to just the Apple ecosystem. So my Siri works with the Hue lights and stuff like that in the Apple Home. So I'm a little reticent to add more Amazon and Google stuff. And if I was going to do something like that, I'd want to turn it off.
my wife's parent a bit, so we have all the mics muted. But we like to stream music throughout the house.
Oh, okay.
So those work really well. I really wish Google would bring back the Chromecast audio because those work
Mm,
great. I'm able to connect my home theater receiver.
gotcha. Gotcha.
So that's nice to have, but they discontinued that, and there's no real way to any other way to route them.
Yeah.
So
So I built my house in 2012, which was really before any of these streaming services really took off. And I built the whole home audio into it. So I have a centralized
mm,
music system that I regret now because I if I use it twice a year, it's a lot. But yeah, being able to have the same music playing all over the house is pretty cool. I just found out I didn't use it as much as I thought I might.
yeah, my dad did that, but he forgot to net throughout the house.
No,
So
I've
now
got that.
but now he's on Eero, and he doesn't have any dead spouse.
Gotcha, gotcha, yeah. I mean, that's the
He's
great
not
thing about
kicking
the
himself for
meshes.
that anymore.
Yeah. Cool. What other devices you tracking?
Well, I think the biggest surprise was Apple's announcement of a new Apple TV 4K because um, they had just announced one last year.
Right. Yeah.
And when the rumors were starting to swirl that they were going to announce another this year, I was like, I don't believe you
Yeah,
for
I
the
thought that
longest time. And then, but it just kept percolating and
yeah,
percolating. I'm like, okay, well, maybe they're finally going to announce that dongle that
right.
has been rumored for umpteen years.
Yep.
Um, Came close to it, I think. It was a nice surprise, actually,
Yeah.
because um, not only did we get a faster processor on those, but we got double the storage
Yep.
and a lower price.
Yep. That's the
Um,
big thing. And that's
yeah,
why I bought my parents the Roku. And if I was to do it again, I would definitely jump in on the $99 closeout of the old one probably for them.
right.
Um
Because those used to start at 180,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
and you can get the 64 gig now for 129.99. It
mhm.
does lack an Ethernet port.
Right.
That's the only controversial.
Well, I think it doesn't
Um,
have there's something about the number of not streams that it can do, but the something there's something in there that it lacks on besides just Ethernet. Um I think that there's it's almost like the number of cores that the
okay, so you
program
think it has a lower processor?
yeah, well, it's not a lower processor. We'll put it in the show notes, but there is some minor hardware deficiency that I think 99% of people wouldn't notice. But if you're the kind of guy that's going to play a lot of 4K streams and might actually game on it, spend the extra $20 and get the 128 version. But for
Right.
everybody else, even last year's is perfectly fine and 129 on this year's model is a terrific deal.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it lacks an Ethernet port. Well, I think most people use Wi-Fi anyway on their streaming device. And if you look at like Roku and Amazon, their streaming device, their only device that has an Ethernet port is their top of the line model.
Okay, yeah,
So, like with Roku, the only Roku you can get with a built-in Ethernet port is the Ultra. And with Amazon and their Fire TV devices, the only one that has a built-in Ethernet port is the Fire Cube. And that's what I forgot to put in my notes is that Amazon did come out with a new Fire Cube this year
oh, I didn't even see
with a
that.
slightly faster processor and a HDMI input, which was interesting.
Hmm.
The idea behind that is not having to switch inputs or home theater receiver.
Say that one more time. I missed that.
So it has an HDMI input,
Right.
so you can connect your cable box to that or a Blu-ray player to that,
And why would you
and not
want
have.
to?
Well, then you wouldn't have to get up, and you wouldn't have to switch remote input on your TV
Oh, okay.
or your home theater receiver.
I see. Okay, so that
Kind of
might
the idea.
it might not be too bad.
And the Cube also acts like an echo speaker.
Okay. Yeah, that's
It does
smart.
have, and it has an open micro. It has a microphone that always loops. Unlike the Fire TV devices, where you have to click the little microphone and talk into the room.
Okay. So what would you recommend? Do you break this into specific categories of people? Do you think that the vast majority of people should just pony up for the Apple at this point, or is there still a class of people, not class, but a group of people that those lower cost ones still make sense?
I think if you want quality and you want something going to last and you want something that's going to be kind of future proof and for a number of years, even the older 32 gig second gen Apple TV 4K, which many retailers are clearing out at $99.99.
Mm-hmm.
Costco and Amazon
Yeah.
both have those for $99.99. I think Best Buy still had them for $129 or $119. I would not be surprised if Best Buy or some of the other retailers that still have it at $119 do a flash sale
Yeah.
sometime between now and the year, and even over the Black Thanksgiving week.
Well, the thing that I found with the Apples is that you can almost always count on the apps for the Apple TV being at least on par, if not better than the apps for any other device, whether it be TV or streaming boxes or anything. If there's a newest version, it's going to be on the Apple TV, not on somebody else's. Is that
Well,
accurate?
there is a problem right now still with the newer app, the third generation Apple TV 4K, with some of the apps out there, particularly the Movies Anywhere app. For those who do use that,
Mm-hmm.
that has not, and I think Vudu as well. Those have not been activated for
Oh,
streaming
okay.
yet. App developers need to update the app in order for those to do 4K HDR on the newer Apple TV 4K. So that would be the third generation ones that suffer
Okay.
ones. Otherwise, if you have the older 32 gig, and by the way, the 64 gig second gen, Amazon has it for $119 if you need the additional storage.
So the latest version is 119? Oh no,
No,
the older version, but bigger
the
storage.
second generation, the 2021 model.
Right.
The 32 gig is $99.99 at Costco and Amazon, and Amazon still has some of the 64 gig second gens, and they're selling for $190 right now.
Right. And almost nobody should buy the 64 gigabyte, right? Just anybody who's going to do a lot of games. But if all you're doing is streaming off of it, there's really
Or
very
if you're going to be, or if you use a lot of apps.
yeah. Or you download
no one-
movies, right? Because you can download to them and take them with you if you're going to be off the grid or something like that.
Still allow that because I haven't seen that capability.
I thought they did.
I've been seeing that capability being removed for a lot of apps.
Oh, I mean on Apple's
with the
own
exception
app.
on mobile phone.
Yeah, okay. I think on the iTunes app you can do it, but I wouldn't swear to it.
I don't use the iTunes app. I usually just go into the Apple TV app.
Or maybe it was that you couldn't control it at all on their app, but I think others did allow it. I don't remember. But yeah, it's my recommendation is get the cheapest one that you can and the cheapest 4K Apple box that you can, and that would be the $99. And that might not fit 100% of the people, but it's going to get 90% plus is the best choice is to buy that, I think.
If you can swing it, if you're on a budget, then obviously you'll want to go with the Roku
Right.
or Fire Stick.
Yep.
It also all depends on what apps you're using. Are those apps available on that particular streaming device?
And I know a lot of people still don't like the Apple Siri remote. I find it okay, but at least it you know which direction to point it in now, and I don't have any problems.
I still have that issue with the.
Oh yeah.
The Fire Stick remote, and I'm always holding that upside down.
Well,
it's the same size. It's basically the same size.
My solution was to throw a little bit of gaffer's tape on it so that I knew which end was the handle, and so it didn't really bother me. But I know a lot of people treat the aesthetics of it. You know, it's a nice bit of
Oh well,
shaped
the
metal.
older. I have the first gen. And
Hmm.
yeah, that remote,
Yeah.
it's like buttons are in the exact middle, and
Yeah.
you kind of feel okay. Would feel for the glossy or the matte finish, and figure out which side you're on, or no, you can't even do that. I was gonna say you could feel the top and bottom edge, but the no, because the infrared sensor feels almost just like the charging
Right. Right.
on
Yeah.
the bottom.
Yeah.
I have it right. Uh, but if you're looking for if that's out of your budget, I think the best deal is probably the Roku Streaming Stick 4K,
Okay.
which is 50% off right now at most retailers for
Yep.
$24.99.
Yep.
That does Dolby Vision and HDR10 Plus and HDR10.
Oh.
That's the
Okay.
other thing. That's the thing that the third gen Apple TV 4K can
Yeah.
do that the second generation cannot is HDR10 Plus.
And that matters mostly to Samsung consumers, right? That
Samsung and Hisense.
okay. Gotcha. Are you? We'll talk about the TVs, but are you tracking TVs like Hisense and them right now? Is where they stand in the market?
Hisense is still kind of considered a budget brand.
Gotcha. Okay.
But there's, I mean, even the budget brands are good teas.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
I think we talked about that
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
week.
Yeah. For sure.
It's when you get into the really high end, how well does it do,
Sure.
local dimming and backlighting and
Yep.
all that fun stuff. So yeah,
Well.
so Roku Streaming Stick 4K
Yep.
is 50% off, $24.99. If you need a little bit more power, the Roku Ultra model 4820R, which came out this year,
Hmm.
it's basically the same thing as the one that came out 2 years ago, I believe.
That's what my parents
Uh,
have. Yeah.
but it now comes with a rechargeable voice remote,
Oh.
and
Okay.
those are on sale for $69.99. Those are normally $99.99.
Okay.
The other thing they added to the Roku Ultra with firmware version 11.5 is they finally activated Bluetooth headphones.
Okay. I know a lot of people like that. Again, I live single, so that's never going to be something that I need. But if you need to be able to
I use it.
have sound for one person and not another, that's a big deal, I guess. But it was
I sometimes
never.
I sometimes get insomnia, set up, and
Mm.
I on the TV, and I'll fire up the Bluetooth headphones either through the Fire Stick,
Well,
which
you're
has been
very.
doing that for years,
Yeah.
or the Ultra, which just added that this fall.
Well, that's very
The Ultra
considerate of
always
you.
had Bluetooth,
Mm-hmm.
but it was only for keyboards and mice reason.
Oh, okay.
And they finally activated Bluetooth headphones with the last firmware update.
Gotcha. Any other streamers that you're tracking?
The Fire Stick 4K
Mm.
from Amazon is down to $24.99. That's still a pretty rock steady device. It still
Yep.
can't do Dolby Atmos on Netflix,
Mm.
but it now can do it. It can now do Dolby Atmos on Disney Plus
Nice.
if you have a non HDR.
Oh, so it's one or the other?
Well, before you could get 5.1 on the Fire Stick 4K on Disney Plus, but but in order to get Dolby Atmos, you had to have HDR all the way through to your TV.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I have a 4K non HDR set display in my living room
Mm-hmm.
that does 3D also, which is why we haven't gotten rid of it.
I was going to say you might be in
It still
line for an
works.
upgrade.
It still works.
But no, huh?
No, it still works.
Okay.
Still works.
All right.
Workhorse. But it was always like, my wife was like, "Why are we switching to Roku now to watch Disney Plus?" I go, "Because we want to listen to the movie and we want to watch our program in Atmos."
Right.
But when Disney had their Atmos issue a couple weeks ago, or a month ago, when that got fixed, it finally fixed that HDR Atmos issue
Okay.
on the Fire Stick. That's fixed. Stay away from the 4K Max. It still does, some unknown reason, known only to Amazon developers. It still does frame interpolation, right, which you cannot turn on.
So what would that look like to a regular viewer then?
Soap opera. So it
Oh.
does a soap opera effect.
Oh, so you're
Not as-
stuck at
Not
the
as
high
harsh
frame
as
rate?
a TV does, but it's
Oh, that's bad. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the disc players. I mean, I know people are still buying both streams and discs. If you're gonna buy a disc, what's the best deal currently?
I think if you need Dolby Vision
Yep.
and you're on a budget, the Sony UBP X800 M2 is $249.99 or thereabouts. I've seen that price on Best Buy, and I think it's $248 on Amazon.
Okay.
The downside to that model is that in order to get Dolby Vision, you do have to go into the setup menu and turn it on and off
In the disc or in the on the deck?
on the deck,
Okay.
on the player. That's kind of a hassle, and especially a lot of studios are now including special features on UHD disc.
Mm-hmm.
But in HD with no HDR, you actually have to, if you want to watch the special features and not watch them blowing out highlights, which is what, if Dolby Vision is left on, that's what it does. You got to go stop it, go into the main Dolby Vision back on.
Well, that's a bummer.
And what's bizarre is Sony claims that Dolby told them it had to be done that way. But yet, the Panasonic players, I think even the Oppo players that had Dolby Vision didn't require that. So I think it had more to do with the particular Dolby chipset that Sony decided to use on the other players.
Gotcha.
If you don't need Dolby Vision, then Panasonic, there's two Panasonic players that are probably good for you. The UB150 is currently $149.99.
Mm-hmm.
That is an HDMI only. There's no audio outputs on that.
Okay.
Not even coax or optical. And it has no streaming options. Not that I would recommend using any of the streaming options. Disc player these days because they're just not getting updated.
Yep. I think I've got one of them. I might have the 420 because it does tone mapping for projectors.
Okay, well the 420 is $199.
Okay.
It does HDR10 and 10 plus.
Mm-hmm.
It does have optical and coax audio outputs on it, and I think it does have a couple of streaming options on it. But again, I would recommend a standalone streaming device anyway.
Yeah, we'll check on that and put it in the show notes. But I'm pretty sure if you have a projector, the 420K is the one that you want because it does really good tone mapping to try to bring the best out in HDR10. And so I've had real good results with that. I'm by no means an expert in it, but I've gotten pleasing results with a little bit of menu tweaking on mine. Go ahead.
Yeah, and there's only one projector that does Dolby Vision out there, and it's a short throw projector from Hisense.
There's another one coming.
It's a 60 hertz projector.
Yeah. There's another one coming very soon, and I'm hesitant to say more than that.
Okay. But yeah,
so
I mean, I
keep
was
an eye
like,
out.
there's finally, when I saw, Hisense came out with that
Yep.
short throw projector with Dolby Vision, I was like, oh, let me look at the specs. Oh, it's a 60 hertz.
Here, hang on. I'll actually. I'm not going to say more than this, but there is a YouTuber that I follow, and I'll tell you what his review is. I think it's up. Give me a second. Why don't you got anything else to say about the decks before I jump to that? Before I pull that up?
Not really. I mean, there's been a lot of complaints previously about the Sony X800 M2 with lockups. I have two of those in my home. With the last couple firmware updates, I have had maybe one lockup situation, and it was due to a dirty disk. So I think those are behind us. The old X800s did have a lot of lockup issues. So
okay,
but those are off the market now. Those have been discontinued for a couple years now. So for those hesitant, about that, I haven't had any real major lockup issues X800 M2s in a long time. So I think it's still a good unit. I would stay away from the X700.
Okay.
It's just a flimsy. The chassis is kind of flimsy. The X800 M2 is a very solid metal chassis, no plastic except for the front panel and the door.
Well, at this point, I've got to insert my frustration that Oppo got out of this market because they have gone absolutely nowhere as far as I'm concerned with their phones. They gave up making the best Blu-ray players on the market to make a level 10 phone.
That's not available in this country.
Yeah, I don't get it, man. I don't know, man. I don't know what they're thinking. But the second short throw laser projector that does DV is called the 4Movie, FORMOVIE, And if you look up Chris Majestic, he's got a review up for it, and projectorscreens.com and all the other usual suspects are checking this guy out.
I wonder if it's just a repackage of the
I
Hisense.
don't know, and that's something that I've been
Hisense is a Chinese company.
Yeah, I don't know if it's whether they stole the design or whether they have their own, or if it's basically shared technology. I don't know how it works, but he seemed pretty impressed by it. And as he said, the Dolby Vision is not going to compare with OLED, but it's the only way that you can get Dolby Vision streams directed to a projector. But I'll post a link to that in the in the show notes. Anything
You want
else?
to talk about displays? You want to talk about displays?
Well, I want to talk about displays, Todd, because I've got the best one on the market. But what are you tracking?
So again, just like last year, I mean, OLEDs have just dropped in price.
Unless you're buying 97-inch.
Well, yeah, which is 25 grand.
Yep.
The 97-inch G2 is 25 grand.
Yep.
But I mean, you can get an 83-inch for $4 grand.
Yeah, what a deal that is, man. I have the G2. I have the 77-inch G2,
which is now 2,500.
Oh no, that's the C2, right? The C2 is 25.
C2, yeah, the C2 is 2,500.
What's the 77-inch G2? Do you know? It's got to be 3,500 or more. But I have the 40-inch C2, and what a great TV that is. I'm using that as a PC monitor, and if you're not crazy like me, I would recommend any normal, sane person to buy the C2 and done. And, I talked to a lot of these YouTubers who have their own recommendations. A lot of them like the Sony OLEDs, and some of them like the Samsung versions too. But for me, it's G2 and done if you've got more money than sense, and C2 if you just want the greatest TV.
The G2 77
is how much?
34.
That's a terrific deal. And I'll tell you, I didn't think it was going to be a big deal to have it mounted flat to the wall, but it looks terrific, and it looks terrific even when it's not on. So it looks better than the rest of my room does, to be honest with you. So
here's a head scratcher for you.
Yep.
Because I looked up the G Best Buy page. So you can get the C2 77 inch for $24.99.
Right.
On a Black Friday deal.
Yep.
They still have in their warehouses some 77-inch C1s that are on clearance.
Mm-hmm. For more.
$25.65.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And I get that, those hardware manufacturer things are dealing with retail incentives and stuff like that none of us will ever understand if we're not in those meetings with Best Buy marketing and stuff like that. But essentially they're paying to store stuff until it gets turned into scrap. And I don't get it, man. Do you want to sell stuff or do you want to store stuff?
Well, that's the thing is when I worked retail, we were always kind of pressured to get rid of the really old stuff that had been sitting around for past its prime.
But were you incentivized? Were you able to do price drops?
We were incentivized with like additional employee points or gift cards or a free movie or something to that effect, or just stuff, just stuff like that, not cash.
Right. They call them spiffs, right?
I forget what we called them at Best Buy, but we were always like, if you can get rid of this particular thing that's been sitting around. I mean, we had an open box that came back from the repair center. It was like 4 years old, and it was like, we need to sell it. And I was like, I can't sell it because the price I have to sell it at is higher than
the new one,
a new model that's better.
Yeah.
And I think they eventually, the store ended up just store using it and sticking it in the auto bay.
Gotcha. Well, I will say this about the panels. As you know, there's a nice cottage industry of YouTubers that really get down into the nitty gritty on things. And they have found all of the minutia about which panels are better than another, and a lot of that came out at Robert Zone's yearly head to head. I'm gonna post 2 or 3 different roundups that these guys have pre Black Friday, because they are doing the technical deep dives on what makes sense at what price point better than we can. But I couldn't agree with you more, Todd. A 42-inch C2 at $900, that's an amazing deal. a 77 at 2500. And if you want to go to Sony or Samsung, great, but I'm not going to be the guy that's going to be able to tell you the difference
And
between them, you know?
well, yeah, and the Samsung and Sony's are comparably priced within us
Right. And you
in
know,
the sizes.
and not only that, but in quality too, right? I mean, you can make a case for any of these TVs. You can make
Oh yeah.
a case
Some
for
people
the
prefer the way
A95K.
Sony
Sure. The
yeah, some
Sony
people prefer the way
processing.
Sony processes
Yeah.
compared to how
Yep.
LG processes.
Yep.
Some people they don't want Dolby Vision, they want HDR10 plus, so they're going to
Right.
go with the Samsung.
Sure, and that's not as crazy as it was last year when things like Apple were not supporting HDR10 plus. I didn't get it back then, but whatever. If that's what you want and that's you're willing to make those sacrifices to not use the Apple ecosystem or you hate Apple, good on you. Do you? But I won't be the guy recommending it to you.
Well, the thing with HDR10 plus though is I don't know a whole lot of content
Sure. Well, I
that is in
think
HDR10 plus other
yeah,
than Amazon Originals.
yeah.
But they've recently switched back to Dolby Vision
Oh, did they? Yeah.
with the Lord of the Rings
Mm.
series and Wheel of Time.
Yeah, Todd,
Those are in Dolby.
I'm gonna blaspheme here. I have not been able to put the same content up in dynamic HDR like a DV or HDR10 plus versus an HDR10, and to have it, knock my socks off enough that I would make a purchase based on either one of them. I like HDR10. I think HDR10 looks great. If you tell me you got it in Dolby Vision, I will choose that just based on principle and the lizard brain telling me you got to have the best and it's always Dolby Vision. But any HDR is so much better than any, standard SDR. I will take any of it. So,
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I have not seen HDR10 plus either.
yeah.
Uh, but I mean, having reviewed discs, I have noticed subtle differences in HDR10 and Dolby Vision.
Yeah.
It's not always a huge difference.
Mhm.
Dolby Vision is able to push that luminance level a little higher
Yep. And
than HDR10 can, but other than that,
yeah, and it can change things within
most
the
Dolby
same
Vision is
scene.
still most Dolby Vision is still 10-bit, although it has the capability going. But most of our displays are still only 10-bit displays.
Yep. All right. Anything else to say on panels? Oh, let's talk about brands. The budget brands. I have not followed any of the budget brands in 2 or 3 years. You got any recommendations there?
I still like TCL, although
Mhm.
I did not put that on any of my lists.
Okay.
I like the 5 series and the 6 series from TCL.
Okay.
Preferably the Roku versions.
Okay.
I think TCL is going to support all 3: Roku, Android, and Fire.
Okay.
They're coming out with their first Fire TV, if not now, soon. So depending on which smart TV operating system you like, you have your choice with TCL, kind of.
Mhm. What happened with? Go ahead.
Hisense aren't bad. They do. Their higher end TVs do support all 3 versions of HDR, so that's nice to
Okay.
have. They make good bedroom TVs, but so do Insignia
Mhm.
and some of the other store brands.
What
Would I
hap-
put one in my home theater? Probably
Yeah,
not.
probably.
Would I put one in a bedroom? Probably.
Mm. Well, what happened with Vizio? Those guys seem to have kind of fallen off the map. They were making that P series, which I was really a big fan of, and then it just seemed to go nowhere this year. What happened with them? Any idea?
I don't know really what's going on with Vizio. I know they did launch. They did have an OLED. They still have an OLED. They're one of the few. I mean, it's nice to see more manufacturers getting into OLED finally. If you remember,
Yeah.
10 years ago, everybody was trying to get into OLED, but no one could make enough
panels.
quality panels to get
Yeah.
them out into the market.
Well, I mean, it's still the only panel makers LG, right? Everybody's buying their panels from LG, so you're stuck with whatever
Well,
they'll
their
sell you.
OLED panels are from LG, yes.
Yeah. LG Display, right? Not LG Electronics. They're
Correct. They're two
separate but related companies.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I think even the Samsung OLED is an LG.
Yep. Yeah.
And for a while, even the Samsung was buying LCD panels from LG for a while when Samsung got out of the the LCD panel manufacturing. But most of your LCD panel made by Hisense.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, I really haven't followed it lately, and I was following computer screens for a while. I couldn't even tell you what to buy today. As I said, I bought an OLED panel for a computer screen that does not work for 90% of the people. It's got some drawbacks, as far as the power level dropping if you leave it on a white screen too long and like that. So I don't even know what I would recommend to anybody else but me.
And that's one of the issues I have with LG with their OLEDs is the dimming.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've never noticed it on any movie content. Let's put it that way, and never noticed it.
Try watching From Here to Eternity
Yeah,
or Bridge on the River Kwai.
I have
I
that,
had
so I'll check
issues.
that. Yeah.
I had issues with both those movies on my LG C1.
All right, I will check that out. I will report back. Anything else on displays?
Um, Costco has an LG B2
Hmm.
55-inch for $9.99 plus a Costco gift card. The I could not click through to see how much that gift card is.
Hmm.
That's a Black Friday. That starts on Black Friday. Costco also has an 85-inch Sony X90 CK full array
Okay.
for $2,000.
Nice.
I have seen this is at various retailers. LG's 86-inch UQ8000
That's a
for
mouthful.
under a grand. For under $1,000. Now that's not one of their higher end TVs, but if you're looking for the big screen, there you go.
Hmm.
And
Well, see,
then
when you say big screen, Todd, I need 120 inches, and so I'm
they're
willing.
coming.
I'm willing to
They're coming.
compromise
They're
on
coming.
OLED. I don't need 120-inch OLED. I would settle for a 120-inch FALD that was worth a damn. As a
But could you get it into your basement?
Yeah, oh yeah, I have a sliding glass door down a walk down step, so I could get anything.
Okay. All right.
I can get anything I want to fit down there.
Because I remember many, more than over a decade ago. This is when Avatar first came out on
Yeah.
Blu-ray. Panasonic had 100 and 120-inch plasma
Oh,
that were
really?
special order items,
Mm.
and they had to be crane lifted into your home.
Well, I will find people to help me get it in there. I just need it to be. If it's not OLED, I will go 120 inches at $3,000. So I'll talk to you in 2026, and OLED maybe 2030, right? So we'll see.
And if you're looking for a good guest room or bedroom TV, Costco has a 43-inch
Mm-hmm.
Hisense A65H for $199,
Okay,
or you can get the 50-inch for $229.
nice.
So
Yes, good
yeah,
deals.
that's a nice price for just like a guest room or bedroom TV.
Yep. And I see you.
And then
You got
if you're
the.
looking for and then what was interesting is I didn't see Best Buy typically has for Black Friday a lot of really good home theater releases.
Mm-hmm.
Not this year.
Okay.
Surprising. But I think it's because we're still dealing with supply chain issues
Yeah.
on that for that particular product line.
Yep.
But also the fact that Denon is still changing hands.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Well, Denon was bought by the parent company of Denon and Marantz.
Yeah. So the Sound United or whatever they're something United. Yeah.
Sold out company. I still don't understand that deal. But
so
okay.
what? Tell us about the Costco deal, though.
So Costco does have the AVR 760H.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 7.2 receiver, 8K ready.
Yep.
For $399.
That's a hell of a deal, and that's got like a low end version of Odyssey on it, right?
I'd have to look the specs on.
Yeah, I think it's the baseline Odyssey. So they've added whole different tiers of Odyssey this year. So I think it's just enough for a
to get you started.
To get you started, yeah. You're not gonna build a world class home theater around it, but it would be a really nice living room TV setup. Enough to get you either 7.2 or 5.1.2. I think a lot of people would be very happy with that. Yeah. And most importantly, all of the inputs are 8K, right? It's not just this 1 in 2 out bullshit
I'd
that
have
they
to
had.
I'd have to double.
No,
check the specs
I'm
on
sure on that. So
for that.
yeah, I bought the whatever the
And
2000
2.2,
series.
right?
I'm sorry.
And HDCP 2.2.
Not sure on that, but they're all HDMI 2.1. That I do know. All right, what else you got?
Well, Oh, back with streaming deals, I forgot to
Mm-hmm.
mention if you're still on the Chromecast thing, you can get the Chromecast with Google TV 4K for $39.99 at Best Buy, and they're going to throw in 3 months of YouTube Premium and Apple TV Plus and 30 days of Fubo TV,
Okay.
which is like YouTube TV or it's a streaming cable service, for lack of a better term.
So speaking of services, Roku has their own channel now. Is that true?
They've had it for a while. It's the Roku channel. And you don't have to have a Roku to watch the Roku channel.
Okay.
I remember telling a lot of people this. People were, I want to watch Weird, the
Yeah.
Alan
So
Tudyk
that's where I'm
story.
going with
How
it.
can I watch it? Well, if you have a Fire Stick, you can still watch it because there is a Roku channel app for the Fire Stick. I think there's one on Android as well if you have an Android TV.
But not on Apple.
There is a workaround if you have an Apple TV.
Yeah.
And you have an iPhone.
Yeah.
You can download the Roku app to your iPhone.
All right. And then
Access the Roku channel through that app and then AirPlay it.
Okay. Have you seen Weird yet?
I've watched it in bits and pieces. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
It's not based on his life. Yeah.
It's there, huh?
I was kind of disappointed in the ending because it just kind of ended.
All right. Well, it's still that.
Maybe he'll do a sequel, even though if you watch the movie, you really can't do a sequel. But well, no, you could. He did have that one shot at the end, the post-credit scene. There is a post-credit scene, so watch through.
All right, it's on my list. I've got it set to go at some point. But
and the commercial breaks are well placed because it's a Roku original movie, so
okay.
Put the breaks spot, and they're not that annoying.
I swore I would never do any streaming service with commercials, and the bastards at Hulu got me with their $10 a year thing. So we'll see. I haven't watched it in forever.
I have not seen any press on that, but keep an eye open on Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
And through the weekend, they may bring back their 99 cents a month or $2 a month.
Well, you saw the big Disney.
The ad supported.
You saw the big Disney news yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Bob Iger's back.
That was a surprise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, somebody was not happy with the management. The last guy.
Well, the stock prices.
Yeah.
So that probably has a lot. So a lot of the prices that we gave on the displays, with the exception of I didn't mention that, although it's a 60 hertz display, but Best Buy does have an exclusive LG OLED A2 48-inch for $569.
Okay.
But other than that, like the 42-inch, the 55-inch, and any of the other TVs that we've talked about so far, a lot of them, especially the Sonys, the LGs, the Samsungs, although we didn't mention any Samsungs specifically, they're going to be about the same price at pretty much every retail.
Yep.
That's just the way things are these days. They've kind of locked the retailers into being non-competitive price-wise. One of the things, though, that I've been seeing for several years is to be competitive, the retailers will throw in freebies.
Yeah.
So, like with almost all of the LG OLEDs, you're going to get at least a 3-month trial of Apple TV Plus for free.
Not for existing subscribers, though, right?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of the Rokus also come with a 90-day Apple TV Plus, and you don't have. And I was able to activate that on my Roku. I was a previous subscriber, so
might be worth scouring eBay to see if people are selling those off.
Yeah. Can't hurt to try.
Yep.
So you're going to see a lot of the retailers throwing in stuff like that. Free gift cards, free trials of Apple TV Plus or Apple Music or Fubo TV or whatever. That's starting to become more of a trying to be competitive with other retailers by throwing those in. So keep an eye out for that if you're trying to decide what retailer to go with. Who's got the best free add-on to the TVs. Of course, you're going to see some great Apple deals. Target has the Apple Watch Series 7 for $349. I've seen
that's
AirPods,
last year's, right?
I've seen the Gen 2 AirPods. Like Target has them for $89.99. I think Walmart may have them for $79.99. I'd have to
Wow.
double check on that. You can get the AirPods Pro for $199. Target has ninth generation iPads starting at $279. Sixth generation minis starting at $399. Lots of great gift card deals at both Target and Best Buy, and I'm sure other retailers as well. Where, like for example, at Target, you can get a $100 Apple gift card, and they'll throw in a $15 Target gift card on top of that.
That's not
So
bad. Yeah,
not bad.
I know Costco seems to do a lot of gift card deals on Black Friday, so I'm looking for that.
Well,
I've
gift
gotten
cards
the
are always discounted at Costco, I
yeah.
think,
But I mean even more
year
so.
round.
Yeah, even more so on Black Friday. I know I got Xbox and PS5 cards there last year and I'm hoping they repeat that.
And then, then of course there's the big movie deals.
Oh yeah?
Where 4K movies starting at $7.99 at Best Buy, and I think Amazon is price matching a lot of those. And I know you've been looking for Spider-Man: No Way Home on 4K. Did you ever pick that up?
No, yeah, I got that eventually. The one that I was waiting for was The Contractor, which had been stuck at $26.99 for 6 months, and I got it today for $7.99.
Oh, good.
Yep.
So Spider-Man: No Way Home is $13 right now.
And worth every penny.
Yeah.
And the only Spider-Man I would recommend over that is Into the Spider-Verse. If you don't have Into the Spider-Verse, we can't be friends. So, and if you're listening to Home Theater United and you don't have Into the Spider-Verse, go get it right now.
I've seen No Time to Die, $9.99.
Okay.
On 4K at Best Buy. The Batman, also $9.99. Jurassic World Dominion, also $9.99. Dune, $9.99.
Nice. Okay.
So some good deals out there. Just got to shop around. I would probably purchase those online.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't go into the store to find them because they're not always there.
I did hear about a Daniel Craig collection that was dropped, right? Have you seen that?
I think so.
Yeah.
I used to joke when they came out with the Bond collections.
Yeah.
On Blu-ray a couple of years ago, or several years ago when I was working retail. So they had the Daniel Craig collection. They had the Sean Connery collection and
right.
Timothy Dalton, Pierce Brosnan. I was like, well, where's the George Lazenby collection? It was like looking at me. It's one movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he should have his own collection.
Was he ever in anything else of note?
Yeah, he was in a number of stuff. I mean, he was on the TV series The Pretender for a couple seasons. Okay. That was on NBC many years ago. So, he continued acting.
Excuse me.
I think if you look at his name up on IMDb, you'll get a few credits for him.
All right, I'll have to check that out because the only thing I ever knew him from was that single Bond movie. All right, so wrapping up here, you've got some other recommendations outside of the home theater realm?
Yeah. We talked about, Apple Watches and iPads and headphones and stuff. It's a good time to buy a Dyson vacuum as well. Those always go on great sales during Black Friday. Just don't buy one for your mom for Christmas.
Yeah.
Or your loved one.
Yeah.
They will get back at you or look at you really oddly.
We've been threatening to buy my mom a bread maker for probably 30 years. And have never done it, but 1 year we did find a bread maker box and put her real present inside that.
Okay,
so that went.
Well, you get a bread maker for a gift, then just like an ice cream maker. It's a great. You think it's a great idea, and then you never use it.
Guilty. I think I have one of those bowls frozen in my freezer, waiting for me to do the process on it, is swirling it around with ice or whatever it is.
It's also a good time to buy small kitchen appliances. Speaking of those, especially like Keurigs. Keurigs usually go on really good sales on Black Friday, and those you could kill a person with them. Those KitchenAid mixers.
Oh, I have one. Yeah.
Which weigh 30 pounds?
Yeah, all that. Yep.
Because they're solid metal.
Yes.
But those always go on killer sales on Black Friday, as well as the Philips and Oral-B electric toothbrushes. Those are good times again. Okay. I picked those up as well. Fitbits. My wife and I already got our Christmas gifts for each other. We each got Fitbit Charge 5s.
Nice.
We got them for $99.99 each. Sweet. At Costco, and they came with an extra band.
Very cool.
So that was their pre-Black Friday sale on them.
Sweet.
$50 off each.
Can't beat that. So, Todd, let me ask you one last question. What do you use to follow sales? Are you basically just looking at their online websites, or do you follow like Slick Deals, or do you have camel alerts, or you just do it off the cuff?
A little bit of everything. I mean, I check the individual retailers' sites,
Mm-hmm.
but I also get a lot of Black Friday uh,
Emails?
articles that pop
Oh,
up
okay.
in my news feeds,
Yeah.
from like Tom's Hardware
Mm-hmm.
and CNET and some of those other sites.
Okay. I use the Wirecutter and the Verge deals, and let's see who else. Obviously, Slick Deals is big one for me. So
I
we'll
think there's like Black Friday something, or
BlackFridayAds.com.
there's a couple of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's BlackFriday.com is another
Oh,
one.
okay. Well, that makes it easy, right?
Yeah.
All right, Todd. Well, that was great. I hope our viewers found, or listeners found something to sink their teeth into there, and we'll certainly post a bunch of links into the thread for where they can follow up and where they can find those deals. But wrapping up here, let's take a quick turn to the good, bad, or ugly. You want to lead us today?
Sure.
All right. What do you got for us today?
So I've got a kind of an oldie. Just came out on Blu-ray from Kino.
Okay. Oh, it's a new release. Okay, of a catalog title.
It was previously available on Blu-ray from I want to say Echo Bridge or Mill Creek. Mill Creek.
Okay. Yep.
So this is going to be a little higher quality release.
Mm-hmm.
Rutger Hauer,
Okay.
late Rutger Hauer.
Late great.
Yep. And directed by Philip Noyce. I think it was his first American film. Blind Fury.
All right.
About a Vietnam veteran who lost his eyesight in Vietnam and was trained to be a swordsman, and returns to the United States and helps reunite a young boy with his father.
Okay. So let's start with the movie itself. I remember loving this movie when I was about 15, 16. So that's a good start. Love
Did
Rutger
you see it in the
Hauer.
theater or on home?
Oh, I probably saw it on VHS.
Okay.
I don't remember ever seeing it in the theater, but I might have.
It only played for a week, I
Okay.
think, or 2 weeks.
My family loved The Hitcher, and we probably saw it on cable a bunch of times. I think we bought it on VHS and probably the first DVDs and everything. So we dug Rutger Hauer, and then when we realized who he was in what's the sci-fi movie
Blade Runner?
Blade Runner, yeah, with his eloquent speech there, we were just blown away. And so we dug Rutger Hauer. We thought he was kind of a neat guy. But it's put out on a re-release, and a lot of these companies aren't throwing any extras in and they're recycling things. So that's a potential downside. I'm going to say that you liked the movie and hated the disc. Let's go there.
Mixed feelings on the disc.
Mm-hmm.
The transfer's pretty good. They didn't upgrade the audio. It's still the original theatrical stereo.
Stereo
track.
only? That's a bummer.
Well, I mean, Sony's not gonna put a whole bunch of money into it because they didn't make any money on it.
Yeah. But it's a cult classic, though, right? So it's gonna sell.
It is.
It's gonna sell.
And they did throw in a commentary track, but it's kind of boring. It's by the writer and a commentator. But I enjoyed the movie. I still enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the movie when I first saw it in the theater after someone recommended it to me. I had forgotten that it was shot 1.85. For somehow I remembered it being scope.
Oh, okay.
But
see, I would have remembered it in 4:3.
But it's a fun little movie. It was shot in Reno.
Okay, there you go.
Back in the 80s. So
and you'd say it holds up?
Kind of recognize some.
Yeah.
A lot of the locations aren't there anymore.
And you'd say it holds up? Yeah.
It still holds up.
Okay. All right. Well, I will put that on my watch list. Again, I probably haven't seen it since that long ago VHS watching. So I do remember it's got some humor sections, right? In all the violence, he's got some good one-liners and stuff like that. I remember that. All right. Also keeping in the martial arts theme, I'm reviewing right now Ip Man on 4K UHD disc.
Okay. I reviewed the collection.
Okay. So what do you think?
I think I think you liked it. It's not. I wouldn't say it's a great movie. The movie's got a little. It didn't. I don't think it followed through with its premise the way it was marketed. But
Mm-hmm.
it's an interesting movie.
Okay.
Interesting character,
So
and I like Danny Young. And most Americans probably know Danny Young from Rogue One.
yes. Yeah. Yep. And so
Remember.
yep. So I will say this about this disc first of all. So after Rogue One, I wanted to see what he had been in previously, and I saw. I'm going to say the first hour's worth on a streaming service. I think Amazon was the one that had the best quality, and it was not great. And the movie I could at that point, take or leave. But this 4K UHD disc does this movie justice. It opens with an absolutely stunning um, color palette. The Dolby Atmos is terrific on it, and I think that this is as good as this movie could ever hope to look, given its vintage. I didn't know the story of Ip Man or Yip Man, as I think he was originally known, and I can't imagine how they made 3 more movies out of this guy, except that when I went and did the research on it, they said that it was very, very loosely based on his real life story. So don't take this as any kind of gospel as to how he made his fame and fortune. So I'm going to say I was very entertained by the fight scenes. I was impressed by Donnie Yun's performance. I liked the bad guy. Overall, I would say that it's a good movie. It's a good disc. All the extras are only on the Blu-ray, which I always find frustrating, but it is what it is. And it looks and sounds great. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up.
Okay.
So that's our show. I appreciate you coming on, Todd. And I think we've kind of slowed down a little bit on the shows, but we've got 2 or 3 lined up for December and January. So I'm glad that folks are sticking around. Our last show with Warner Brothers was absolutely out of the park, and so
I enjoyed that show.
Yeah, want to thank him again, and thank all of our listeners for what absolutely great feedback that they gave, and the amount of respect that they gave that they gave
George Feltenstein.
Yeah, Mr. Feltenstein. I'm sorry, I was stuck here working the mixer. Mr. Feltenstein was an absolute class act. Answered more questions than I could have hoped, and that's exactly the kind of guest that we hope to continue coming on Home Theater United. And we've got 2 in the pipeline for December already, and 1 for beyond that. So looking forward to doing that. And Todd, as always, you come up with some great topics. Welcome you back anytime you got something more to say.
I enjoy being here.
Well, there's a ringing endorsement. So no, you were great, Todd. We thank you very much, and hope you find some great deals on Black Friday. I know I'll have my eye out, and we'll see what we can find.
All right.
Thanks everybody. Have a great Black Friday. Have a great holiday season. We'll see you next time.
And stay safe.
Stay safe.